Okay guys, what we're going to look at now is a displacement map, okay, but we're going to look at creating our own. So it's going to basically be a water reflection. So we're going to start out by creating a brand new image, and it is going to be 1000 pixels wide and 2000 pixels high. Okay, and on the background layer, because we can't do this on a blank layer, because we need a colour in there, we're going to add some noise. So we need our colours to be default black and white. We're going to go to filter, noise, add noise, and the settings are already in there. So it's 400% Gaussian and monochromatic. Okay, and then just to give it, soften it up a little bit, we are going to apply a Gaussian blur of 2 pixels. Okay, so you can see the difference in what it's doing there. Okay, once we've done that, we are going to use some some channel selection, and we're going to do some embossing. So if I click on my channels tab here, what we've got is we've got our RGB channel, and then we've got channel 1, 2 and 3, or red, green and blue. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to control click the red channel 1. We're going to go to filter, stylize, emboss. We're going to give it a little bit of a 3D texture. Okay, so the angle we're going to use is 180, the height is 1 pixel, and the amount is 500%. I'm going to click OK. Then we're going to do the same thing, but this time with channel 2. So red, green, blue. So channel 2 is green. We're going to control click that, filter, stylize, emboss. And we're going to keep the settings the same, except we're going to change the angle so that it works together with the other one rather than just be the same thing. We're going to press OK and Control D to deselect. So if I zoom in, you can see what we've got. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to change the perspective. So if we're going to do a water reflection, what we're going to have to look at is creating some sort of perspective so it is wider at the front and narrower at the bottom. So if we unlock our background layer so that we can edit it, go to edit, transform, perspective, and we are going to have to zoom out maybe twice. Okay, so the value is 600%. So if we look up here, we're going to do a width of 600%. So this will change as we drag. It doesn't need to be precise, just about. So as I click that bottom handle and drag it, you can see that it's getting the sort of effect we want anyway. So we need to just put it down to roughly 600% and press enter. And then what we need to do is get rid of the bits that we've just had on our screen. We've just kind of put off the edge of the image. So if we press crop and then press enter, it will show us what we've put off the side of our screen, and if we press enter again, it will crop it. And just to show you, if I press enter, you can see that is the image now. Okay, now we're going to make it square. We're going to go to image size, make sure the link is taken out so that we can change one and not the other, and we're going to change the height to the same as the width, which is 1000 pixels. And again, if we start to zoom in now, you can see that we are getting towards some sort of water texture. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at the channels again. So if I go to the channels tab, again we've got channel 1, 2 and 3. So I'm going to select channel 1 and I'm going to do what's called a quick mask. So we can mask something very quickly within the channels tab. So we're just going to press Q and it will create a quick mask. And what we're going to do is we are going to create a gradient. So the gradient wants to be white at the top and black at the bottom. Okay, so we need to make sure that with our gradient tool we've got a linear gradient and we've got black and white. It doesn't matter which way around it is, you just need white at the top, black at the bottom. So mine goes from black to white, so I'm going to do it from bottom to top. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to press Q to come out of that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to channel 2. I'm going to control click channel 2. And I press Q. And I'm just going to, in here, create a shorter gradient where the waves start to get really close together. Like that. Okay. And I'm going to press Q again. Okay. Won't look like it's done a huge amount, but it's definitely helped out in terms of what it's going to do with the displacement map. Okay. So if we press Q again, in fact, let's go back to there. If we do that as a selection, we're going to edit, fill this with 50% grey. We'll just fade it out a little bit at the top there. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the blue channel out, because we haven't done anything with that, and we are going to, where we think, is we're just going to crop where we think the waves are too close together, and then make this back to be 1000. Okay, and we're getting there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to save this as a displacement map. So a displacement map must be saved as a PSD, and when you load it into the other image as a displacement map, it will only give you the option to save it as a to load a PSD anyway. So if I just call it displacement, okay, wait for it to save. It should give me the option to save maximise compatibility. I need to have that ticked, and then I can shut it down. The next image that we're going to do is we're going to open our mountains, which doesn't have to be mountains, but that's what I'm picking. So in terms of what we do first is we decide whereabouts we're going to reflect it. So my reflection, I think, is going to be at the bottom of that wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a line. Take the padlock off the background layer, and I'm just going to move it up a little bit so that I can see. I'm going to go to free transform, and all I want to do is I just want to line it up so that it's roughly straight. Just use that line as a guide. Get rid of the line, and then we are going to crop the image. There, there, and then in this one I'm going to crop it to the bottom of the wall where our reflection is going to be. Next thing we need to do is actually create the mirror image that we're going to apply the reflection to. I'm going to go to canvas size, top to bottom. In fact, I'm going to put a blank line underneath it so that I keep that separate. Then I'm going to go canvas size, top to bottom, percent, and change that to 200. So it doubles the height of our image. We then duplicate our image of the mountains, go to image, transform, flip vertical, and use the cursors to come down and make those two images roughly there. Okay, so now we've got our mirror image, we can start to look at how to convert it into a displacement. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our mountains are on top, our reflections below, and on this background layer we're going to pick a colour, and it can be any colour, it can be any sort of watery colour, green, blue, however you want to do it, whatever your environment's like. Okay, and we are just going to fill that background layer with that. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to fill, so we've filled that with there. We can change the colour of this later, and we're going to add a layer mask to this reflection layer. There's a little button here that's called Lock Transparent Pixels, so what we can do is we can stop it affecting these pixels above it, which will be in this area, and we can then create a gradient, which is going to, that was clever, let's do it the right way around this time. Okay, it depends on where you want it. The higher up you start, the more of a solid colour you will get. So you can't, it kind of fades into the image then. So once we've got that, we're going to add some wind to this layer. So we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Motion Blur. Make sure we've got an angle of 90 and a distance of whatever you like. You can do it in the preview. I liked 10, so I'm going to do that. But you can see that you can just do it to whatever you want for your image. So I'm going to apply that, and then I'm going to do it again, just to give it a little bit more. Okay, now that we've got that, we are going to apply our displacement map. So what we need to do is we need to apply our displacement map to this image, but on a larger scale. So again, I'm going to create a blank layer at the bottom so it doesn't cause any background issues, and I'm going to change my canvas size to 400% in both directions. That was very clever. Canvas size %. I might be pushing it for 1,000. Let's do 400 and we come back out. So what we're going to do now is we are going to change the size of our reflection layer, so this layer here. So we can disable this layer mask for a moment. On this layer we are going to go Edit, Transform, Scale, and we are also going to scale this by 400% in both directions. Press enter. Okay, it'll take a little while because it's quite a big image. So what we're going to do now is we are going to apply our displacement map. So we're going to go Filter, Distort, Displace. The horizontal scale wants to be about half the vertical scale, so it depends how much you want to do. You might need to play about with some different numbers to see what you like. We need stretch to fit and repeat edge pixels selected, and then we press OK, and it's going to ask us where our displacement map is. Just so you see, look, there you are only able to load PSD files into that, nothing else. So pick our displacement map, wait for probably some time. Here we go, and then we're going to transform scale, and we're going to scale it to 25%, which is essentially bringing it back down to its original. And then we're going to trim our image with the top left pixel colour, get rid of that excess. We're going to apply our layer mask again, and we can see we're starting to get a nice reflection, slightly distorted, kind of water effect. There's only a few steps left. So the next one is that we need to have our layer mask selected, and we're going to adjust the levels. So by adjusting levels, we're just going to tone down the output, only by a little bit, to 240. So you can see at the top, it just gets rid of that colour a little bit. I'm going to press OK. Okay, the next bit is very dependent on how you see your image and how you think it looks. So So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a black rectangle, sort of that size. I'm going to obviously fill it with black and filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm going to blur it till you do not see the lines, but it does have some colour. So 19.4 for that one. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Edit, Free Transform, and we're going to hold down Shift, and we're going to make this much narrower, and then move it. We can change the opacity if we want to blend in. It just gives it that shadow where the mountains meet the reflection. And then the only thing you need to do now is to crop the reflection. It looks a bit silly, I think, a square with a massive reflection. That looks a bit better, I think. And yeah, we should be seeing the full screen version about now, and I hope it looks alright. That is Displacement Maps.